Electric Pokemon spark not just literally, but also with insane power. With hardcore rules to amp up the challenge, can our electrifying squad surge through the competition and conquer Alola, or will they short circuit under pressure? Let's find out. Right off the bat, we're faced with the choice of a starter, but since none of them is an electric type, I'll let you make the choice for me. Like for Rowlet, subscribe for Litten, and comment for Poplio. The results are in, and we end up with the water-type starter. As a part-time electric connoisseur, all I have to say is, ew, with a hint of yucky. Thunderbolt, go! Our journey begins on Route 1, the hunting grounds for our first electrifying ally. After some searching, we find none other than the mighty, the all-powerful Pichu. Yup, we have to take on much of the Ultra Sun early game with this absolute Chad Mega Rat of destruction. We just started, but things are already heated. Our first opponent is a relentless school principal who has it out for kids like me. Kids with a dream. But we're not gonna stand for that. Go get her, Pichu! Lucky for me, Pichu evolves through friendship, and what better way to build friendship than walking? Well, there is no way this little mouse is gonna beat the nightmare that is the principal, so off we go on an adventure. Over rugged mountains, through treacherous seas, basically my parents' way to school. And after all that, it happened. Our little Pichu, fueled by the power of friendship, evolves into Pikachu, a slightly larger mouse. And with that, we face the principal's Rowlet. I start by using Charm, which harshly lowers Rowlet's attack. I had Pikachu unleash Thundershock, which, to be frank, did nothing. I was praying Rowlet doesn't land a critical hit since it would bypass its lowered attack and deal huge damage. Because remember, if Pikachu goes down, it's out for good, and if all party Pokemon are dead, I have to restart the challenge. But after finally whittling down its health with Thundershock, we land the finishing blow, which means we win. And that was just the first little hurdle of this challenge. Yeah, this is gonna be tough for my sanity. With the principal behind us, we ventured into Hau'oli City, where we can get our hands on our next team member. But not before getting our hands on some upgraded drip. After that, we run into Magnemite, which we catch, and good thing we do because next up is another big frickin' problem. Alima. His Yungoos goes for Leer, which is annoying, and Thundershock also doesn't deal much damage. However, we do land a paralysis on the next turn, which gets neutralized as Alima heals it as well as recovers health. Annoying. Pursuit deals massive damage to Magnemite, but luckily we finally take down the Yungoos before it can deal any more harm. Next, Alima sends out his ace, Smeargle, and Tackle packed more punch than expected, despite being not very effective. So after chipping away a little of Smeargle's health, I decided to switch to Pikachu. Luckily, Pikachu's static ability kicked in, paralyzing Smeargle and turning the tide in our favor. We're in a pretty good situation here, and it's not long before— Wait, hold on! In that moment, the realization hit me. This challenge was going to be a roller coaster. And next up, we were to take on the Totem Gumshoes. Luckily, we found the TM for Brick Break, which Pikachu could learn, and that's gonna be a big help. I decided that for my rules in this challenge, the level cap applies until I enter the Totem area, so I managed to squeeze in some extra training before entering the Totem's domain, giving us a slight edge. Or so I hope. Leading with Pikachu, we went head to head with the Totem Gumshoes, and to my surprise, Pikachu's attacks were landing with more impact than expected. But that's when Gumshoes calls in reinforcements in the form of Yungoos, and suddenly we're in a bit of a pickle. Gumshoes lands a devastating hit, and I realize my journey could very well end right here and right now. I definitely underestimated this battle. Thankfully, I can switch out before any real harm is done. Magnemite can tank any hits well and manages to take out Yungoos. That's when Gumshoes landed a big hit, putting us on the edge. But a berry recovery gave us just enough to keep fighting. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Magnemite delivered the final blow, taking down Gumshoes. We'd won, but the fact that I've almost lost every major battle so far is not a very good sign. But that's a problem for later. later. For now, I catch an Oricorio, which at this stage of the game is actually such a great addition, as well as a counter to ground types. Oricorio is a game changer because with it, we can take on Kahuna Hala with confidence. Air Cutter actually one-shots Hala's Machop, and two-shots his ace Makuhita, and just like that, the battle was over. Finally, an easy battle, and with that, we've cleared the first island. Next, we travel to Akala Island, where we can add the next Pokemon to the team. We found an Eevee, who isn't an electric type yet, so it'll be a bench warmer for now. But luckily, that wasn't the only addition to the team. We also run into a Mareep, and who doesn't love Ampharos? I just need to keep it alive long enough for it to become one. After a little bit of training, Mareep evolves into a Flaffy, and while we're on a streak, why not catch the next team member as well? Welcome to the team, Grubbin. Or well, when you're an electric type. For now, you'll keep Eevee company on the bench. And with that, it was time to face the Totem Araquanid. And with an all-electric team, this should not be too difficult. I lead with our MVP, enter the Oricorio, who deals over half of Araquanid's damage in one hit. We're able to tank a bubble, and on the next turn, we can take out both Araquanid and its ally Masquerain. So that went about as expected. After the battle, I make sure to evolve my little Grubbin into a Charjabug so he could finally join the team. And with that, it was already time for the next battle against Totem Marowak. This will be an incredibly hard battle, and I had to put a lot of thought into this one. I lead with Pikachu, who's unfortunately already damaged from the Totem Trial. Despite that, we set up Rain, meaning Flame Wheel deals far less damage. I get super lucky as Static activates, paralyzing the Totem Pokemon. Marowak then calls for his ally Salazzle, and anticipating a Detect from Marowak, I go for Electro Ball on Salazzle, after which I switch into Oricorio. So now we can proceed with some offense. The reason I bring out Oricorio is because her hidden power is Water type, which gets an additional boost in range. So we're able to take out Salazzle in almost a single hit. A Flame Wheel from Marowak deals a decent chunk of damage, but we recover health with a Citrus Berry. Anticipating a Detect, I make a stupid move. I use Work Up to set up my special attack stat, but Marowak still goes for Flame Wheel, and on this turn, Rain also ends. So no more Water type boost. That was a wasted turn. I'm on fairly low health, but I don't really have a choice. Marowak deals over half health to all my other Pokemon, so switching is not a great option. I decide to stay in and use Hidden Power, which deals alright damage, but luckily Marowak gets fully paralyzed, so we live to see another turn. I'm in the exact same position again though. I will likely have to sacrifice Oricorio here since I just didn't see another option. I could get lucky with a crit or another paralysis, but yeah, no. Rest in peace, Enter. You had a really good season. With Marowak having almost no health left, I send in Pikachu to finish the job, and thankfully, one more Electro Ball seals the deal. After losing a friend, a great option is always to replace them to suppress any sad thoughts. So I whip out my fishing rod and reel in a Chinchou. But she's not really gonna be of much help for now since the next battle is against the Grass-type Totem Lurantis. Oh, how great would it be to have a flying type right about now? It would be a real shame if I had lost one of those in the battle right before this one. Oh well. So once again, I'm relying on Hidden Power. None of my Pokemon have useful Hidden Power types, except Magnemite, who has Fire, which is, well, fire. This comes in incredibly clutch because Lurantis' allies actually set up Sun, so we're able to deal a great amount of damage per hit. Having paralyzed both Pokemon, I start by targeting Lurantis first. With a bit of strategy and a lot of luck with paralysis, we managed to take down Lurantis and its ally Kecleon. And trust me, a lot more planning went into this battle than this apparently easy victory made it seem. And with that, we finally get to Coney City, where I get my hands on a couple Thunderstones. And so I could turn my team of babies into a team of strong babies. I can finally bring Eevee onto the team because now now I can turn him into an adorable Jolteon. Oh, and Chinchou also evolves into a Lantern. Out of all the challenges I've done, I would not have expected to end up with a team of cuties and an electric type monologue. But with my upgraded team of adorable electric types, we take on Kahuna Olivia. And my initial plan was to use Lantern for the obvious type advantage, but it turns out she's not a great Pokemon. So instead, I opt for a different strategy. I lead with Flaffy just to take out Anorith, because Lileep is more of a tank that doesn't deal as much damage to me, which is perfect because I can then switch in Jolteon and set up with Workup. Once fully set up, Jolteon is just at 10 HP, which looks dangerous, but trust me, I've done the calculations. I'm almost definitely positive this might kill. And so I press Charge Beam and it's enough. Phew. I mean, of course it was. I knew that. And just like that, Akala Island was behind us. Next up, we took a little detour to the Aether Foundation to admire the facility, but Hau was admiring something else. Whoa, Miss Lusamine, you're like not even much older than us. Okay, Wizard of Oz, calm down.
Oh, you sweet boy. I'm already over 40.
You are? Wait, what?
The right style does wonders, you know. And how? Your style is a bit wanting, I'll have to take you out sometime and help you pick a smashing outfit.
I might be reading into this too much, but did she just ask a 12-year-old on a date? Like, what you wear? I don't think anyone else could pull off that kind of look. Chris Hansen, yeah, this is Twig speaking. I'd like to report a case. Thankfully, Nihilego pops out of nowhere, and suddenly, getting potentially absorbed by an alien seems better than the conversation we were just having. Saved by an interdimensional space blob. Once we get to Ula Ula Island, we're finally able to evolve Flaffy to an Ampharos, and Magnemite finally evolves into a Magneton, turning our squad into a proper electric powerhouse. Heading towards Mount Hokulani for our next trial, we snag an Elekid, and thanks to the Universal Randomizer bending the rules of evolution, we're looking at a future Electivire joining the team. And with that, it was time to actually take on the Totem Togedemaru. Luckily, I have the perfect counter. Bayern the Magnemite resists any of both Togedemaru and his allies' moves. And remember, we have Hidden Power Fire, so this is a surprisingly easy battle. Timing my attacks well so as to avoid hitting Togedemaru when he uses Spiky Shield, we effectively take down the Totem Pokemon and its allies without much difficulty whatsoever. And with that, we also get our hands on the Electrium Z, though I'm not sure I'll use it yet for the added challenge. We'll see. Before the next trial, we travel through Route 12, where we pick up an Alolan Graveler. Fun fact, it was the only Rock Electric type Pokemon before Gen 9, and I've never actually used one before. But there's no time to dwell on our rocky new friend, because the Ghost trial against Totem Mimikyu was up next, and this was no time for fun and games. Right out of the gate, Mimikyu's Play Rough smacks Jolteon with the force of a freight train. Not the welcome I had hoped for, but with a swift Volt Switch, we pivot into Magneton, removing Mimikyu's disguise in the process. To make things worse, Mimikyu calls in a Banette for backup. Magneton takes some pretty big damage from opposing attacks, but also delivers a huge hit to Mimikyu with a Flash Cannon. On the next turn, I'm faced with a tough call. Stay in with Magneton, which is a huge risk, but one I might have to make to win, or switch out to another Pokemon that is more frail and has less firepower. Magneton is literally a cluster of balls of steel though, so we stay in. A Shadow Claw brings Magneton down to a nail-biting 5 HP, but we land the Volt Switch and can duck out just in time. We send in Barcelona next, who gets hit with a Screech, and because of that, Play Rough deals so much damage on the next turn. Somehow we hang in there and manage to knock out the Totem Mimikyu with another Volt Switch, bringing back Ampharos to safety. Now it was just Banette left to deal with, so I bring out Arsenal the Lantern. One final Bubble Beam does the trick. That was a tough one. Next up, we infiltrate Po Town, where we face off against Guzma. We lead with Jolteon against his Golisopod, but I decide to switch into Magneton to absorb the first impression. I then deal huge damage using Volt Switch, activating Golisopod's emergency exit ability. Guzma sends in Pinsir next, and this is a scary Pokemon for many reasons. Mainly because it knows Storm Throw. I switch to Juventus, who can take the hit well. X-Scissor deals pretty much no damage, so I switch to Ampharos instead and get lucky as Static activates, paralyzing Pinsir. Charge Beam deals little damage, but it does boost Ampharos' special attack, so on the next turn, one Volt Switch is enough to KO Pinsir. Masquerain is out next, so we send out Raichu. Volt Switch deals good damage, but I get taken completely off guard as Masquerain's Bug Buzz deals way more damage than I expected to Magneton. I gotta switch out again, so I send in Jolteon, who I know can outspeed Masquerain. Bug Buzz, again, deals tons of damage, but that's fine since on the next turn we can outspeed it and take it out with a Volt Switch. Finally, Golisopod comes out again, but with Lantern out, we can pretty easily take it out as well. And that's Guzma beaten. Halfway through the battle with Guzma, I realized I've been playing on hard mode without even realizing it. Blush Mountain was right there, ready to supercharge my team, and I just forgot. So it's upgrade time. Charjabug evolves into Vikavolt, and Magneton evolves into Magnezone. And just when I thought the team couldn't get any more electrifying, we add Togedemaru onto the roster. And now my team is looking pretty darn good. We had the battle against Kahuna Nanu ahead of us, so deciding to mix things up, Raichu takes a bench, making room for Elekid, who quickly evolves into Electabuzz after a bit of training. And with that, I challenge Kahuna Nanu. His first Pokemon is Sableye, and Jolteon's ready to light up the battle, handling Sableye without breaking a sweat. But then, Krokorok comes out, and my stress level spikes. This beast knows Earthquake, so even one hit could be deadly. But that's where Vikavolt comes in. Since it has the Levitate ability, the incoming Earthquake deals no damage at all. A few X-Scissors later, and Krokorok's down for the count. Nanu is not done yet though. Out comes Alolan Persian, his ace. Anticipating a Power Gem, I switch to Magnezone, who has to absorb a Black Hole Eclipse. And this leaves us on just 24 HP. Discharge deals good damage back, but we have to switch into Ampharos to seal the deal. And just like that, Nanu's down and Ula Island is cleared. Our next target is the Aether Foundation, where we walk in on some drama after Guzma's beaten Gladion. It's time to avenge our little edgy friend. Guzma leads with Golisopod as always, and I'm prepared with Jolteon. I go for an initial Protect to avoid first impression, and then hit hard with Discharge. Pinsir is out next, so I Volt Switch into Magnezone, dealing good damage while I'm at it. Magnezone is just a pivot to bring out Raichu though, since Raichu is barely phased by a Storm Throw. Next out is Masquerain, so one more time I hit Volt Switch, bringing out Magnezone again. Masquerain can't do as much, and another Volt Switch is enough to KO. I then send in Jolteon as Guzma, running out of tricks, throws Golisopod back into the mix. But Jolteon's ready with Protect, and we're finally able to bring down Golisopod with a Volt Switch. And then the main event, Vikavolt versus Vikavolt. But it turns out we're outmatched, because Guzma has access to Bug Buzz, which is just so unfair. Just for that, it's time to bring in the heavy hitter, Ampharos. I know I outspeed next turn, so Ampharos stays and finishes off Guzma's Vikavolt with a Power Gem. And that's Guzma dealt with once and for all. Before taking on the big bad, I make some rearrangements to my team, bringing on Graveler and making sure to finally evolve her as well. Now onto Lusamine, and seriously, what's the deal with her hair? Is it defying gravity, or does she have some psychic Pokemon hidden in there keeping it afloat? Either way, we're about to bring her back down to Earth. Kicking things off, Magnezone steps up against Clefable. Poor thing can't even scratch us. A couple of Flash Cannons later, and it's bye-bye Clefable. Next up, Lopunny hops in, and I decide to stay in and use Volt Switch. Despite having access to Fire Punch, Lusamine goes for Ice Punch for some reason, which barely leaves a dent. So we can make a smooth switch to Chelsea the Golem. I go for Thunder Punch, but just then, Lusamine pulls a fast one, swapping to Lilligant. No sweat. Vikavolt in and zaps Lilligant with Signal Beam, and that's lights out in one hit. Next, Lopunny's back, and it's round 2 with Golem. This time, Lopunny is not hopping away from this battle. Lusamine now sends out her Milotic, who can be a scary opponent, but we have the perfect counter. Lantern. Milotic can't do too much damage to Lantern, and using Discharge and a tactical Volt Switch, we whittle Milotic down, setting the stage for Raichu to sweep in for the grand finale. Down to her last, Lusamine sends out Beware, but with Raichu already out, all we have to do is use Psychic, and that's pretty much it. The battle is won, and Miss Crazy is defeated. And look at that! I just noticed her room fittingly looks like a padded cell, in case her deranged demeanor was too subtle. Another day, another baddie taken down by the Electric Dream Team. And with that behind us, we land on Poni Island. It was time to level up the squad and take care of some serious business. First order of the day, grabbing that Electrizer to evolve Electabuzz into the absolute unit Electivire. Secondly, we acquire the ability to be carried around by a Machamp, which, let's be honest, is every man's dream. Go forth, my swole steed! This powerhouse of a Pokemon wasn't just for show though. It lets us get the single most significant item in this run, the TM for Thunderbolt. With that in our arsenal, I felt a little more confident for the upcoming trial, which was a tough one against Totem Kameo. I dreaded this battle, because this dragon's got more punch than Mike Tyson on bright powder. The battle kicks off with Raichu in the spotlight, but Kameo's Dragon Claw immediately takes us down to 25 HP. But just then, I get a blessing from Lady Luck herself. When I needed it the most, I hit a devastating critical hit that left Kameo hanging by a thread. But the battle is far from over. Kameo calls on Caesar for backup, and it's time for Raichu to tag out. I decide to bring out Ampharos, who takes a bullet punch from Caesar like it's nothing, and also paralyzes Kameo thanks to static. The luck continues. Thinking Ampharos could outspeed the now paralyzed Kameo, I stay in, but boy was I wrong. After a Dragon Claw, I'm left on just 8 HP. Had Caesar gone for a bullet punch there, I'd have lost Ampharos. Thanks to Volt Switch, Jolteon can hop in, outspeed Kameo, and take out the Totem Pokemon using Discharge, while dealing some good damage to Caesar as well. And with only Caesar remaining, I bring out Electivire to take him out with a Fire Punch. That Totem battle was a roller coaster, but somehow we pulled through. The Electric Dream Team was unstoppable, but the hard battles don't end there. The showdown with Ultra Necrozma was on the horizon, and let me tell you, the anxiety was real. This battle could make or break the whole run. So after a marathon brainstorming session, this is what I came up with. Togedemaru, my spiky little underdog, was up first. This little hero could tank a Photon Geyser from Ultra Necrozma, albeit barely. And not just that, it managed to land a Toxic, putting Ultra Necrozma on a timer. Next up, we played it safe with Protect, buying us a precious turn before making a necessary sacrifice. Togedemaru, we didn't get to fight much together, but you went out like an absolute legend. The sacrifice allows us to bring out Vikavolt, rocking a Focus Sash I snagged from some random NPC in the Poni Wilds. And thanks to that Focus Sash, Vikavolt shrugged off a Power Gem like it was nothing, retaliating with a Signal Beam that did more than just tickle Ultra Necrozma. Another round of Protect to buy us some time, which is just enough to take out Ultra Necrozma. And just like that, the nightmare was over. That could have gone a lot worse. Not too shabby if I do say so myself. And after that whole experience, I decided to finally invest some EVs into my team to turn them into the perfect Electro Squad. Next on the agenda was Mina's Trial, where we battle all the captains leading up to the showdown with Totem Ribombee. But with Magnezone leading the charge, Ribombee didn't stand a chance. A few flash cannons later, and Mina's prized Totem Pokemon was more like a bug on a windshield. Easiest Totem battle ever. And there's just one more thing to do before challenging the Pokemon League, and it's no easy task. We're up against the all-ground user Hapu, our one weakness all packed into one terrifying nightmare. I had a plan though. Vikavolt, sporting some snazzy choice specs, was my opening gambit. With the power of the specs, Vikavolt turned Hapu's Golurk, Mudsdale, and Gastrodon into dust. Just like that, Hapu was down to her last Pokemon. I pivot into Ampharos to bait an Earthquake. Then out came Electivire, floating safely above danger thanks to its air balloon, letting us avoid the Earthquake. A chilly Ice Punch later, and Flygon was out cold. I spent so long planning for this battle that I was dumbfounded to see just how easy the battle actually turned out to be. But hey, I'm not complaining. Now, with Hapu in the rear view, there's just one final challenge between us and Glory, the Pokemon League. Time to see if our electrifying journey can end with a bang. After making quick work of Justin Bieber from 2015, we stepped into the Pokemon League. First up on our hit list was Kahili and her fleet of feathered friends. Honestly, with our electrified lineup, it was less of a battle and more of an avian clearance event. We zap every last one of our birds straight from the sky, and that was a nice little freebie to start off the Pokemon League. Moving on to something with a bit more crunch, Olivia and her rock squad were up next. Armaldo's out the second it sets foot on the battlefield, thanks to a Choice Specs boosted flash cannon. Next up is Probopass, who kicks up a sandstorm. Thankfully, Electivire handles Probopass without much trouble, with 2 quad effective brick breaks. Then Gigalith trudges in. I tag in Vikavolt, dodging a bulldoze, but we're still in a tough spot, since Gigalith is equipped with moves that are devastating to all of my squad members. Gigalith dishes out a destructive Stone Edge, but thanks to the defense EVs I invested in Vikavolt, we can survive, letting us retaliate with an Energy Ball. And that's the biggest threat dealt with. Lycanroc steps up next, so I quickly pivot into Magnezone, who takes a Continental Crush like it's nothing. That's right, Magnezone laughs in the face of danger. Or I think he is. Hard to tell. Anyway, a strong flash cannon sends Lycanroc packing. Last but not least, Credilli, but she's no threat though. Another flash cannon from our trusty Magnezone, and it was lights out for Credilli. 2 Elite Four members down, and so far it's been a breeze, but we're not out of the woods yet. Next up is Mullane, the Steel User. I had Electivire leading the charge against Klefki, who tries putting up Reflect, but Electivire's Brick Break smashes through it, taking out Klefki in the process. Mullane, thinking he's got a trick up his sleeve, sends out his ace, Doug Trio. But once Vikavolt is out, it's lights out with just 1 Energy Ball. Bisharp steps in next, but Electivire's already on the field, ready with a quad effective Brick Break that hits Bisharp like a semi-truck. And it's been real easy so far, but that ends now as Mullane pulls out Metagross, the pseudo-legendary tank. Electivire's Fire Punch barely tickles it, and after taking a critical Zen Butt, it's clear Electivire needs a break. Enter Ampharos, who immediately gets slammed to near defeat, though not without paralyzing Metagross with Static. The luck is short-lived though, because we flinch, so Ampharos has to switch out without ever even landing a hit. I bring out Magnezone next, and turns out I should have done that from the get-go. A few hidden powers later, Metagross is down. Last out is Mullane's own Magnezone, but we're clearly the superior one, since hidden power takes it out no problem. Just 1 more Elite Four to go. Last up, Acerola and her Ghost Crew, with Banette leading the charge. But 2 Shadow Balls from Jolteon, and it's back to the Shadow Realm. With Palisand out, we can switch to Vikavolt and hit an Energy Ball that sends it crumbling. Frostlass gets the same treatment as Magnezone one-shots with Flash Cannon, so Acerola throws out her Anchor. But after some more Shadow Balls from Jolteon, it's adios Delmise. There's only Drifblim left, but it being a flying type, it's not hard to guess how that ends. And just like that, only the champion stands between us and glory. The final showdown with Hau was the ultimate test for our Electric Dream Team. No more playing safe. My morals are out the window. This is about to be a bloodbath. Hau starts with Raichu, landing a hefty Psychic, but a Bug Buzz from Vikavolt sends it packing. Easy start. But then, from out of nowhere, Hau pulls out his ace, Incineroar, and this is bad. Ampharos steps in, but an Inferno Overdrive almost takes us out in 1 hit. With a heavy heart, we bid farewell to our friend. He's been with us since early on, but it's time to say goodbye. Enter Jolteon, our speedster. It's come in clutch many times when it comes to outspeeding and hitting hard, with a base special attack of 110 and a good amount of special attack EVs invested. Yet, to our shock, a Thunderbolt barely scratches Incineroar.
I'm in danger!
One Earthquake and Jolteon's out. I send out the only one of my team members that Incineroar can't one-shot, Electivire. A Brick Break deals okay damage, and thankfully we can barely outlive an Earthquake. And this lets us finally take out the beast with one more Brick Break. But that took half my team. And next out is a Tauros that knows Earthquake. Oh man. But Vikavolt dodges the Earthquake, outlives a Double Edge, and retaliates with a Thunderbolt, turning the tide once again. Next is Crabominable, who manages to take down Vikavolt. But Raichu avenges its fallen teammate with a single Psychic. Noivern swoops in, but Raichu stays in and hits it with a Thunderbolt, halving its health. One more hit and Noivern's out. Raichu's been sort of on the sidelines this whole challenge, but he's really proving his worth in these final moments. Hau's last stand, Leafeon, comes out. It outspeeds and cuts down our first companion of this run with a Leaf Blade. I send out Magnezone to take out Leafeon. A few fiery hidden powers later, and victory is ours. Hau is defeated, and with that, our electrifying journey reaches its conclusion. Thanks for watching. For more electrifying Pokemon content, click on this video next, and hit subscribe to be the first to see what I post next. Let me know in the comments what video you want to see, and if you like the video, click like. It helps me more than you know.